morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Princeton. We're in our open and welcoming community. We live our message. Here, we invite all the visitors and newcomers to stop by our newcomer table, our visitors table in the lobby. If you haven't already done so you can find out more about our congregation. And we're happy that you're all here today. Happy that you're here today. Especially, I'd like to welcome our guest, Reverend Jane Bennett Smith, who has served as the minister of Channing Memorial Church, Unitarian Universalist, since 2019. She began her journey into Unitarian Universalism 10 years ago here at this congregation. And we're honored to have her back here today to give the sermon. Bill is giving the sermon at her church in Maryland today. So I am going to step in, Kirsten, many of you recognize me, to help lead the service today. We have many announcements this morning. I'm going to try to make them quick. First, a reminder that after service today, those who are taking part in the Latka Who Couldn't Stop Screaming, which is the skit for next week's Hanging of the Green service, should meet here in Channing Hall after the service for a script run through. Thank you all for being a part of that tradition. Another biggie is our annual holiday party is next Saturday from 5 to 8 p.m. I hope all of you have already RSVP'd so that our volunteers can know how much food to make. If you can go to uuprinceton.org and click on the Sign Up Genius to RSVP if you haven't already, that would be great. And we always need volunteers. There's so much to do. It's such a fun time. There's decorating, tree trimming. There are caroling and karaoke this year. That will be fun. So if you can, please sign up. And if you don't, that's okay. We'll welcome you anyway. It's going to be a great time. So that starts at 5 o'clock. But if you want to come early at 3:30, we're setting up Hanging of the Greens downstairs. So anyone who decides to come and help out for that, it says that you will be rewarded with a special golden medieval milk punch or virgin spiked wassail. So that sounds interesting. I mean, I'm curious about that. Because we're having the holiday party next Saturday, the fellowship night that usually takes place the second Saturday of each month will be canceled this month. Come back in come back in January, on January 11th. Mark your calendars for a night of games, pizza, and friendship. And let's see, wait, there's one. The Social Outreach Grant Committee, which is responsible for distributing the money from the UU Princeton Spring Sale, is looking for congregants to sponsor local organizations with which they are involved to be considered for grants. This is a great way to get some extra donations for organizations that you are passionate about. So if you are interested in sponsoring an organization, please email grants@uuprinceton.org or talk to Louise Sr. or Gareth Funke-Lee, the chair of the Grants Committee. The deadline to submit that is January 10th. And I think that's it for now. And now, at this sacred hour, grateful for each and welcoming all, let us be together for a time of peace and balance, for a space of community and acceptance, to remember the good and to seek the true, and to look together toward the love that holds us all. Come, let us worship together.
Let us light the chalice with the words of Reverend Scott Taylor. As we light this flame, may we hear what it has to say. Come back to your center, it calls. Return to the quiet, it whispers. The quiet we long for, and that longs for us. From this stillness, always a voice arises if we let it. So come, friends, let us listen once again. Let us find that flame inside that guides us back home.
I consider myself a spiritual person. However, I do not pray, nor do I meditate. To me, prayer and meditation are a bit like diet and exercise. Sure, I know they're good for me, but it's not really enough to get me to do them. Part of it is that I have trouble sitting still. And the other part is that I don't like to surrender my time. What can I say? I've got ants in my pants, and I feel very acutely the brevity of life. But no matter, I've stopped beating myself up over this. I have been very good at making lots of room for silence in my life. When I'm standing at the sink doing dishes, when I'm raking leaves, when I'm gardening, folding laundry, driving to the store. During these kinds of mundane tasks, I'm very good at resisting the temptation to put on music or the radio or Netflix. I remember learning in Meditation 101 that to quiet the mind, you must work on keeping it from wandering. Unfortunately, letting my mind wander is the one thing that I love to do most when it's quiet. You have to understand that I have 2 really loud kids and a loud husband. So I relish any opportunity to hear myself think. Also, it kind of feels like wandering is where all the action is, where all the good stuff is at. Well, of course, it's not all good stuff. There's plenty of bad stuff too, wandering around in there, but I don't let my mind wander all willy-nilly. I have a method, and I'll explain it like this. I think of my wandering mind as being like a horse that I'm guiding along a trail. I don't micromanage the horse. It's allowed to sniff around and explore, to nibble here and there at anything that seems interesting. Of course, I try to steer it away from the brambles and the litter. I try to keep it away from sketchy looking paths or paths that I've already learned are dead ends. I gently nudge my horse towards the positive looking stuff, and I'm always keen to see what it will grab at. Some interesting philosophical question, a creative idea, or a flash of insight if I'm lucky. I like to see how far I can follow it in those directions. Very, very often, my mind runs into one of my many desires. Buddha taught that desire is the root of all suffering, but he also taught that the pathway to enlightenment is through the cultivation of right desires. And based on just a moderate amount of life experience, I'd say he got it right. I remember that when I was younger, my strongest desires centered nearly exclusively around materialism and status. Think of the high school years, college, having the right stuff and the right friends felt very much like matters of basic survival. I spent a lot of time and energy earning money so I could spend it at the mall to buy the right clothes in order to fit in with the right people, or at least to not feel ashamed. And I studied extra hard so I could get into a good school, so I could get a good job, so I could earn good money and be well respected and not ashamed. Although that didn't all pan out quite like I planned, but sure, youth was exhilarating and educational, but it was also a terrifying roller coaster with short moments of intense joy interspersed among what felt like huge swaths of suffering. Now that I've gone through all of that and I've come out on the other side, as a middle-aged adult, my desires center much more around relationships and service. I desire most of all to help my friends and family, to see them happy, especially my children, my loud children. I desire to see my local community flourish. And as you know, I desire to see our spiritual community flourish as well. I desire to make the world at least a little bit of a better place through whatever talents and skills I have to offer. I don't pray, not in a formal or traditional sense, but I suppose you could say that I do pray in my own way. I hold some silent space in my busy life where my mind can make contact with my most positive desires. After these times when the meeting is good, I feel motivated and inspired. And maybe those feelings are a sign that I'm able in some way to answer my own prayers.
I offer you two seemingly contrasting vignettes this morning, one of death and one of natural beauty and awe. I do this to highlight the blessings of the divine in each, for the mystery is both hidden and present all around us. I stood at his deathbed, my beloved stepfather, who was imminently transitioning from this realm to the next. His eyes closed, his breathing shallow, his face at peace. We knew he was passing while I was at a wedding in California, so I traveled by plane and train to be by his side, praying that he would wait for me, and he did. I remained by his side, offering words of love, holding his hand, embracing him, and whispering words of farewell. I stepped away and heard my mother tell him it was okay to pass, and he did. There is so much mystery and sacredness when a being slips away from this impermanent life. The veil between the mortal and the divinely transcendent is permeable and thin. My husband and I lay on our backs alongside the crashing ocean waves and the cool evening sand of mid-July in New Jersey. The sky was velvety black, sprinkled with massive stars so distant they reached us as but a speck. On this night, gazing into the unknowable distance, we observed an occasional shooting star, a short arc of light dancing in the moonlight. The sand, the stars, the comets, and the echoes of the rolling sea, sacred and divine, and just one piece, one expression of all that is holy. Today we listen. Today we listen to the sacred, we listen to the holy, we listen to unconditional love, to a great unknowable essence, to a transcendent beauty and wonder and awe. And as such, we engage in an act of prayer to all that is blessed and holy and divine. Prayers are the words of the sacred spoken to us in love. What prayers emerged through the sorrow of death and the awe of nature? At the death of my stepfather, I heard blessed whisperings of my sacred, affirming unconditional, eternal, unceasing love. Nature, as seen through stars as plentiful as fireflies, offers my open ears the divine prayer. May you embrace this, beloved, for this is the beauty of life. There is mystery all around us. If we pause, listen, invite, and welcome it into our lives. Great, divine, sacred, holy, immortal mystery disguised as a common human experience. Nature and death, yes. So too in moments of love, of childbirth, of forgiveness, of hope, of art, of illness, of loss. Great questions emerge which shape these events in mystery. What inspires beauty and awe? Why is pain inherent in life? How are we held in the midst of that wonder which pervades our beings? Within each of these and so many more mysteries is held the divine. Positive moments of wonder and awe, negative experiences of dejection and loss, present in each beautiful and aching human life. To engage and find meaning in these moments of mystery is to listen and invite sacred murmurings. How can we listen to a sunset? It whispers, embrace my beauty, wonder, and awe. How can we listen to mystery? We hear, dear one, embrace that which cannot be known. How can we listen to dejection? We receive the words, find strength, beloved, for you have it within you to thrive. This is what the divine offers. Listening, sacred, divine, intentional, beautiful, committed listening to the great mystery, to the spirit of love, to God or goddess or mountain or transcendence. This is prayer. Prayer is to open our hearts, minds, spirits, and souls to the whispers of all that it is we hold sacred and holy. To listen to that voice that calls us beloved, beloved children of all that is sacred and holy. It is to let that great mystery converse with that still small voice within. To let the voice of love reverberate throughout our entire being. It is something we feel. When we gaze at a sunset, when we pause amidst a field with a beautiful array of wildflowers, when we feel this nature echoing within us, that feeling is a prayer. It needs not be the spoken words of the lips nor the silent words of the mind, but an orientation of the entire body, offering the sacred silence and adoration. It is an intuitive conversation with that which is so much greater. I think of my own deepest moments of prayer. It is not simply a petition. It is asking, how can I receive your divine inherent wisdom and guidance? And then I pause and I listen as an infinite voice enters my finite being. And yet we may note a wariness to prayer, a hesitation, feelings of skepticism or indifference. We may not listen because we are anxious about what we may hear in return. Will we hear whispers of judgment, of condemnation, of indifference, of damnation? Do we not listen because we fear we might not hear anything at all? That we might be met with an alienating silence? Do we not consider listening because we believe there is nothing even speaking? Even the trees murmur words of compassion and love. In my role as minister and chaplain, I sometimes met with those who fear the sacred due to a horror and a dread of divine punishment. Reframing divine punishment is part of the history of our own Unitarian Universalist faith. Not of an entity who damns but forgives, not of judgment but of love. And this is reflective in prayer. To God, to goddess, to nature, to whatever it is we hold sacred and holy, this receives each of us with unconditional love and divine compassion, regardless of past transgressions or states of disbelief. In our tradition, this is the holy, this is faith. How can we listen to the great mysterious spirit of love and life through the most challenging times of our lives? How can we listen to compassion when our bodies feel broken? How can we listen to love when love seems so distant? How can we connect to the divine when we feel we have done the unforgivable? How can our days be a prayer when we feel lost and dejected? I remember my own disconnection with the divine when I felt so very angry as someone who had deeply wronged me, a person who was present in my life for a handful of very difficult years. In the aftermath of the relationship, I was angry, I was bitter, I was disoriented. I lost a connection with my own sacred, yet eventually I created a space to converse with that essence which never truly left me. And in that moment of connection, I opened a space to listen. In pain and dejection, we may wall ourselves off from the sacred in an act of defiance or disconnect or despair, only to let it in and let divine love and forgiveness and compassion overwhelm us, breaking through our defenses. To me, this had begun to isolate me in pain and regret, yet I met with a sacred and essence that called me towards forgiveness, and I slowly healed. Forgiveness healed me. What suffering could we have avoided if we held this divine openness in our hearts from the start? Anger becomes forgiveness. Aggression becomes peace. Lies become reconciliation. Greed becomes gratitude. And hate becomes love. How might we create a way of living that does not only include sporadic prayer, but is instead itself a prayer? I offer that the first thing we must do is open ourselves to a perpetual invitation to the voice of whatever it is we hold divine. At each moment, prepared to receive into our beings all the sacred murmurings whispered to us by all that is blessed and holy. Life is a prayer. I furthermore think of those wishes bestowed upon the small child in our story for all ages, wishes that for me seem synonymous with continuous prayer. May you delight in things big and small. May you live in awe. May you hear the stories of the stars. May you love and be loved in return. May every moment be a gift. May you know generosity, gratitude, faith, and hope. And so the reflections of spiritual director Ruth Haley Barton. She encourages us to rearrange our lives in response to the calls of the heart, to say yes for the divine calls for spiritual transformation. She offers us two questions for reflection. Who do I want to be? How do I want to live? Pause for a moment. We'll reflect upon this further in a minute. So as we explore the question, what is a life of prayer? I wonder first, what is a life of sporadic prayer? This is a life known to many people of faith, not inherently bad or empty, but not as fulfilled or meaningful as that potential that is held within. On the far end of the spectrum, I hold those to whom prayer is obligatory and scripted, not opening a space to listen, but a chore or an empty and meaningless expectation bestowed upon them. This, I offer, can be an empty way to engage with the divine, and yet there are others who do pour their hearts into these moments of divine petition or request or gratitude or conversation. I offer the reflection, what sacred and holy beauty could we welcome if this moment melted into the monotony and joy of daily living? There are also those who do not even realize they are praying, but feel the reverberation of love or wonder or awe within them when observing a velvety night sky or gazing into the eyes of a beloved, who orient their lives towards goodness and compassion that expresses itself in moments of gratitude or beauty. This is a life of prayer. Who do I want to be? How do I want to live? How can I respond in each of my actions through unconditional love? How can I live with daily grace and wonder and mystery and awe, with gratitude and generosity? Listen. Listen to the whispers reaching your receptive ears, guiding you towards love. Feel this love reverberate within your very body as you are guided by all that is sacred. We can highlight the forgiveness espoused by Universalism. Likewise, we can live, observing the inherent goodness of all people offered by Unitarianism, as we react to each blessed and broken being with faith in this goodness. We meet aggravation with patience. We meet indifference with love. We meet the mundane with wonder and awe. All of this culminates into a constant connection to something far greater than our individual selves, be that God or a sunset or the spirit of love. Who do I want to be? How do I want to live? I want to listen to divine whispers of love and compassion and act upon these holy offerings in each moment of each day. May we live life as a prayer. May we, above all else, listen to every divine and sacred whisper. When staring into the sunken face of a beloved about to leave this realm, may I hear soft words of love permeating that thin veil between the mortal and the immortal. When gazing at distant ancient stars, may I hear quiet blessings of beauty and awe, so that every moment I feel the wonder of prayer reverberating in my very being. May we welcome mystery disguised as the ordinary, for to do so is to invite wonder and awe and the divine into our lives. May we listen and receive. May we open our very beings to all that is sacred and holy, and be attentive to whispers of love and divine guidance. For to do so is to pray, and to pray, and to pray, until our very lives become a prayer. Until even the challenges are full of mystery and awe and an invitation to the sacred. May we work to act always in love, and may we orient ourselves in each day towards receiving all that is divine, sacred, holy, and blessed. May it be so, and amen. At the end of our hour, we extinguish our chalice, knowing that its light carries us until we gather again. Go forth for the grateful moments before you, the breath within you, the people among you, and the Spirit guiding you towards lives of greater love, beauty, and kindness. Go forth knowing that you are held always, and always with neighbor and stranger, by that great love of no beginning and never ending. Go in peace, and amen.